have a collect call from
Spine-chilling murders.
Do you accept the charges?
Hello and welcome to Spine-chilling murders, a new podcast where we talk murders on Tuesdays and disappearances on Thursdays. Before we start, I just want to give a quick word to our sponsors. Sorry, just before we start, I do want to say one thing. Thank you for all my new viewers. Last month when I decided to take a summer class, I stopped for a little bit. And then one night, randomly, my computer started dinging, and overnight, like 400 new views came in. So I just want to say thank you. It might not be a lot compared to the bigger subscribers, but it's still 400 people who decided to take 7 minutes out of their day to hear and watch something that took quite a while for me. So thank you. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 1993 cold case disappearance of Bonnie Hiam, and how her 3-year-old son helped bring justice to her case. I do want to put a content warning since in this episode I talk about domestic violence and murder, so if you're uncomfortable with those topics, you can go ahead and either prepare yourself or click off of this video. And let's get right into this. Bonnie Lynn Pasciuto was born May 21st, 1963 to Robert and Patricia Pasciuto. She had 4 sisters and 1 brother. Bonnie was married to Michael Ray Hiam on September 12, 1987 in Jacksonville, Florida, and together they had a son named Aaron. Michael and Bonnie worked together at a construction company owned by his aunt, Evie Ann, and her husband. Michael was a manager and Bonnie worked as an accountant. On January 7, 1993, Bonnie didn't show up for work. After a concerned party requested a wellness check, investigators found out that Bonnie had actually apparently left. When investigators interviewed her husband, Michael claimed that the couple fought the night before and she left the house at around 11 p.m. Bonnie's father suggested she may have left voluntarily. However, upon investigation, Bonnie planned on going to Evie Ann's house, leaving Michael, and taking their son, who was 3 at the time, and leaving. This was out of the ordinary for Bonnie. Her top priority had always been her son. So for her to leave without him was just not like her. The night before, Bonnie made a call to Evie Ann and was crying and upset. Bonnie told her that she would talk to her again in the morning. Evie Ann even told investigators about a fight between Bonnie and Michael that she had witnessed. According to Evie Ann, Bonnie wanted to leave Michael before. Michael was verbally and at one occasion physically abusive. Several months prior to her disappearance, she opened a bank account under her name and asked that the statements be mailed to her work. When Michael found out, he started a fight with Bonnie where he became furious and ordered her to close it. Evie Ann said that one time he had slammed her hand in a car door. After the argument of the account, she did indeed close it, but had still planned on leaving him. Instead, she began to leave money with her friends and had placed a deposit on an apartment and tried to enroll Aaron in a new school. Now here's where things began to seem suspicious. When investigators went to track down her car, they found it in the Jacksonville International Airport. And upon searching, they found Bonnie's purse behind a red roof inn near the airport and a trash can. The things inside her purse were her money, cards, and ID, along with a couple of other things. When police released what was found, Evie Ann said that Michael wasn't fazed or concerned about the news. He was instead apparently upset about how she was sneaking around hiding money with friends. He stated they had nothing to do with her leaving. He claimed after she left at 11 p.m., his mother came over to watch Aaron as he went looking around for her. 45 minutes he did return, however, he did not call the police to report her missing. During the search, it was unlikely that Bonnie was driving or last to drive, as the driver's seat was pushed back further than what would have been comfortable for her to drive in. During the exam inside the car, they found a shoe print on the driver's side floor. They even matched it to a shoe that Michael owned, but Bonnie's father didn't believe it meant anything. Michael called a coworker and had just stated he was not going to be going to work and that Bonnie had left. Now, if that doesn't make you raise suspicion, this next part will most likely. Now, a couple months after her disappearance, the case went cold, and Aaron began going to a child psychologist. On some of the sessions, Aaron made statements like, "Daddy hurt Mommy," and that Michael had killed her during an argument. He even said he was there when Michael was getting rid of the body. Bonnie's father did not believe that Aaron was telling the truth. However, investigators did not discredit the testimony. Bonnie's father believed that Aaron was lying and that Michael was innocent and that Bonnie's alive. However, Evie Ann believes that Michael killed Bonnie and that Aaron terribly witnessed it. Police believe that Michael is a prime suspect and he might have even had an accomplice, but no evidence supported any theories and he was not charged. The reason why Bonnie's family didn't really believe Aaron was because they thought he was brainwashed and that the investigators just wanted to close the case. However, that was soon to reveal that that is not the case. Fast forward even a couple months later, Michael's parental rights were terminated. The judge stated that Aaron was at a high risk of abuse since his claims about Michael and him being the only living witness to Bonnie's murder would have not sit well with Michael. Aaron continued going to a child psychologist, and as some of his statements would seem truthful, he would say statements like, "Mommy's car is in the water." That made everyone begin to question. In one session, he told the doctor, that was actually verified in 1995, he said that Michael had thrown out a shotgun a little while after killing Bonnie. He told his foster mom which bridge he threw it off, and that they indeed found a shotgun that was determined to be there since the time of Bonnie's disappearance. It also matched one of the other guns he had in the house. However, no charges were ever made from this discovery. It was in 1999 Bonnie was declared legally dead. Over the years, Aaron's story did not change. He still pleaded that Michael had killed his mother. When he was a kid, he would draw pictures of Michael shooting her. He would also write an essay in 8th grade about Bonnie's murder and the aftermath of how his parents helped Michael dispose of the body. As time passed by, the memory began to fade, but he never stopped believing that Michael was responsible for her murder. Bonnie's sister even said that Aaron told her, "Daddy shot Mommy in the tummy." Aaron then went on to getting adopted by his foster family, and in 2005, Aaron and his family would go to civil court to sue Michael for wrongful death lawsuit. Aaron ended up winning and got a settlement of $26.3 million, as well as the ownership of his childhood home in Jacksonville. Before he had got the house, Michael had been leasing it out. On the lease, it had banned occupants from having dogs as well as doing any landscaping or any digging in the backyard. In December of 2014, Bonnie's case reopened. When Aaron had been digging in the backyard, he found what no one hopes to ever come across. While Aaron was digging in the backyard, he saw a plastic bag in the ground. When he lifted the bag, what he believed was a coconut fell out. When he went to go pick it up, he saw teeth and eye sockets. He believed he was holding his mother's skull. Police were called and DNA tests were being made, and when they came back, it was revealed the remains belonged to Bonnie. As the body was decades old, the body was determined as been murdered by unspecific means. There was also a .22 caliber shell casting near the body that matched a rifle Michael owned, and that there was an injury on Bonnie's pelvis that was consistent with the gunshot wound. She was there all along. Detectives searched the house back in '93 and couldn't find any trace of her. But the truth was right under everyone's noses. In early 2015, Michael was living off of Bonnie's life insurance when he was arrested. Michael posted bail and walked free until his trial in April. He would be tried for a second-degree murder that was a sentence from 7 to 22 years in prison. The family of Bonnie asked the judge to consider making Michael's sentence 26 years, the same amount of years Michael was able to walk guilt-free while her body was in the backyard. During the trial, Bonnie's sister presented a book full of memories of Bonnie and would also read stories about her. Aaron had testified as well. During the trial, he said, quote, "Anyone can imagine, even if it's not a loved one, finding a skull and picking it up, just what that would do to somebody. Not to mention it's your mother. Just what that would do to someone." He said he suffered with the ongoing depression, the suicidal ideation, and the emotional trauma that justifies a longer sentence. Attorneys began to present the evidence that police found a shoe impression in Bonnie's car that matches a pair of shoes that Michael had, and that the sand and dirt found in the impression matched the ones found at the bottom in the grave. During the trial, they said, "The shoe print speaks volume. He had just finished digging the grave when he parked the car." Michael pleaded not guilty as the jury took 90 minutes to find Michael Kiam guilty in the 1993 murder of his wife. The judge sentenced Michael to life in prison for second-degree murder. Even after being found guilty, he claimed he had no involvement in her murder. "I loved my wife," Michael claimed. "I would never hurt my wife." He said Bonnie left at her own choice, but he couldn't explain how she ended up being buried in the backyard of their home in Jacksonville. Bonnie's sister made a statement in which she said, "For 26 years we wanted justice, and now we have it. We have justice, but we don't have Bonnie." Aaron also said that he always knew his mom was buried, but he just didn't know where. He tried to get justice for her when he was only 3 years old, but no one listened or believed him. Aaron knew his mother would never leave him. He also worried that his dad would come after him but that now he wouldn't have to worry. Michael had not broken his silence. However, some of his inmates during the trial said he confessed and was bragging about it in jail. An inmate said, quote, he started talking about, how he killed his wife, how she choked her, how her son was mad at him. He buried her in the yard. 26 years after her disappearance, Michael had finally been found guilty of murdering his wife and burying her in the backyard. She was just 23 when she was murdered. Her life was barely starting, and she would never get to see her son grow up. An innocent life taken too soon. Bonnie would finally get justice, and Michael would pay for every day what he had done. Bonnie is currently buried at Riverside Memorial in Jacksonville, Florida, and her sister Lynn runs a Facebook page that is run in memory of her. That is all for today's episode. Don't forget, pictures and interviews will be posted on our official Spine-Chilling Murders Instagram, and if you have a theory or want to share thoughts on your case, you can send it in for a video to be posted on our Instagram page. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and see you for our next episode on Thursday.
The number you have reached has been disconnected.